and Hudson up here. I present you the trampoline under and up above.
Well, I think there's a spiritual element to autism. There's a spiritual element to everything.
When Joy asked me about it, I said I would do anything to help Anna. So if this is something that, you know, by us doing it and whatever else happens there and that carries over to her, I would be thrilled.
We are taking whole families to Peru. We are documenting mom and dad working with the shamans on ayahuasca and on San Pedro, as well as doing the energetic work. But we want to take the children, both the neurotypical and the ASD children, so that we can document all the changes in any of the relationships and levels of relationship.
I think here it's all about recovery, it's passion, it's drive, and I think these kids require, you know, mother warriors.
Some of the reason parents, and particularly mothers, but not only mothers of people with autism, are such bulldogs is they know their kid is in there. They know it. And you can't take that away from them no matter what theory or academic data you spout. And they don't believe you.
What? What are you talking about? Like, no, that just was so wrong. What, he'll always struggle with it? He was perfectly fine. What are you talking about? You don't go from being perfectly fine and having a typical vocabulary for a 15, 16, 17-month-old to not talking.
The words don't come. Maybe I'm okay with that. Because he tells you what he wants. He's happy, you know? So.
If you have a child with cancer or cystic fibrosis, you love that child, but you want to address the cancer. You want to address the disease, the condition, to help your child be the most she or he can be.
They aren't fully here. And that's why with the Pied Piper, those children are taken into a mountain. They disappear. Right? And that's very much what these families talk about as they watch their children slide into the spectrum, is that they disappeared. Mothers said they felt like the children were being pulled out of their hands. They could watch them day by day blink off, right? Is there a chance that we can get them to blink back on?
Peru is in it's in Brazil, and it's also a state in Brazil on the left.
And we're gonna go on a crystal hunt.
And then
she's so good.
And then we're gonna go to a hotel and then we're gonna go on a plane.
And Joy's gonna do magic tricks.
You can't say you want it. If we could do this over and have a typical boy, oh, come on.
No,
I'm a psychologist by profession, so I work with trauma and I work with a lot of healing issues, but you're working in literal time with people's experiences, and I think what happens with the medicine is it allows you to set that aside on some level and actually go deeper. You know, in Western culture, we split up the mind, the body, and the spirit. You go to a psychologist if you have emotional problems, you go to a priest or a minister if you have spiritual problems, and then you go to a medical doctor, but they don't integrate those. And I think what shamanic medicine, and also especially working with the plants, does is it's all of those things all in one spot, so the healing can be so much more profound.
It's not just about going somewhere and doing a healing. It is to step into the space of changing the trajectory.
You can't just work it out intellectually, and you can't just work it out scientifically. There has to be this other level that gives people space to feel things that up until now have been unbearable for them to feel.
Por más que esté enferma, porque algunos no están enfermos del cuerpo, están enfermos de alma, de espíritu.
when we started talking about shamanic healings, we started talking about ceremonies, we started talking about going in there and healing those spiritual wounds, stepping into that divine, I knew that this was where this has all led.
These parents are doing work on themselves, but they're doing the work on themselves on behalf of their children, both the ASD child and their neurotypical children, because it's about the vessel. As mom changes herself, she watches for change in her children. And this is over and over and over in my practice. So many, as they work with me, they begin to realize if they start to see their children becoming reactive and triggering, they go, what's going on inside me? And then they come in and do a session on themselves and their child shifts. So if we understand that the other person is just a messenger, right? That all we ever need to do is to work on ourselves instead of trying to fix them. When we are in a disempowering situation is when what we want is to change them. Well, I want them to change and then I'll be happy, right? When we recognize that we change that by saying, I change myself and then I witness change out here, it's a very different engagement.
In some recess of who I am, I don't mind taking a leap of faith and hoping that things will turn out better than I could have planned them. And I feel like that's exactly what's happening with this. I feel like things work better when you take big risks. You get big return.
That's what I was thinking one day. I was sitting here at night reading about shamanic healing and everything. I said, maybe this isn't for Jack. Maybe it's for me. You know?